Hello everybody, Reggie Time here, and in just a moment we're going to be looking at 7 hands I played in the session last night on iPoker where I was game selecting really hard. Some of the tables were just absolutely outrageously good. The sort of table you're never going to see on sort of table you're never going to see when you're playing speed poker. I know a lot of you like the speed poker videos. I know you like that kind of thing, but I can only create content from the games that I've been playing in. And last night I was playing in these games, and there were some utterly absurd hands. It was a really fun session. I put about 3 and a bit hours in. I think I played like 1,200 hands, and I really, really enjoyed it. I've been playing a lot of speed poker in the last like 10 days or so, maybe a bit longer. It's done really well. It's got my game into the best shape I can remember my game being in for a long time. I'm really happy with where my game is. So now it's time to take that game into into environments where I can actually turn that into a good positive win rate. And by that I mean 8 big blinds 100 plus rather than the 2 or 3 big blinds 100 I expect to win playing the same level of poker in speed poker. I think that is like the difference, maybe even more. I think my best game probably gives me at the absolute best 4 bigs 100. We never play our best all the time, so I'd say my win rate is probably 2.5 to 3 big blinds 100 at speed poker, and I'm not a mug. I'm not a sicko, but I'm not a mug either. So I imagine a lot of you guys who don't have as much time to dedicate to poker as me are playing those games and maybe overestimating your win rate too, and just like not enjoying the game. It's really important to enjoy the game of poker. And when I think back last night to how much I enjoyed this session compared to how much I enjoyed the previous 10 days, mostly playing speed poker, I would liken it to an experience I had the other week where I thought I had some health issues. It turns out I don't. I mean, just a little bit, maybe tiny bit of anxiety related. But anyway, the upshot was I ended up going to the doctor. She poked and prodded me around and then sent me home with some various little tubes that I had to collect my shit in, basically. I had to shit into a Chinese tub wedged down the toilet, scoop it out with the world's fucking smallest ladle, stick it in a bag, and then stick a fucking bit of plastic into my shite, stick that in a water solution and put that in a bag too. They had to go and hand it over to an attractive 30-something fucking receptionist and the doctors. It was one of the worst experiences of my life in terms of like, this is really embarrassing and it feels bad, but it doesn't always it didn't feel as bad as sometimes playing fucking speed poker does, when for 2 hours non-stop you barely see a player with a VPIP over fucking 20. So yeah, if you are playing speed poker and you feel yourself falling out of love with the games, whichever site you play on, just give the reg tables a go. Have a search, get on tables, get engaged with players with VPIPs over 30, with stacks of less than 100 big blinds, and enjoy the fact that that will guarantee an increase in win rate for you, and probably guarantee an increase in enjoyment once you get yourself off the fix of folding and then getting a new hand, folding, getting a new hand. Of course, I understand the attraction of speed poker. It speeds the game up a lot, including the title. That shit fold, that shit. So you get more pocket aces, pocket kings, pocket queens, ace king suited, jack. You get more of them per hour, which can feel like it's more fun. But you also get a lot of fucking walks with hands that you would like action with. You also raise and take it down way too often with good hands, because they're just you're just playing games full of like real nits and just people like yourself, people like me who are bad for the game. You don't be playing with those guys. Those guys are a necessary evil for the games to run, but you don't want to be playing where in a game format where you play 2 hours, you play 1,000 hands, and 900 of those hands have been played in an environment where no one at the table, when the table loads up, no one at the table is beating a rake on that particular table. 900 out of 1,000 tables might load up where there isn't a player with a VP over 22, and no one's beating the rake in those situations, which is why it's really hard to get a positive win rate. So I would urge you, if you are watching this, you are a low stakes recreational speed poker player who is not making the game play, I urge you, try reg tables. Once you get used to the slowdown in speed, I'm sure you'll have a way better experience. But anyway, that's 4 minutes of fucking ranting out of the way. Let's go on. We're looking at some fun hands. So this first time we have 2 queens. We open from the cutoff. I've got my HUD here somewhere. My replayer. This player was a pretty whaley player. Right, let me see. And so this player had stats of 73/0 over 15 hands. He's donked half pot on this board. He could mean anything at this point. He maybe has a 5, he maybe has a 3, he maybe has fucking gut shots, he maybe has air, he maybe has pocket sixes. Who knows? The question is, should we raise here now, or should we just call and see what develops? I think there's a strong case to be made for raising, but the downside to raising is when you 3-bets, we're not going to be in a good spot a lot of the time, and yeah, I just didn't want to do it. Basically, didn't want to set ourselves up for 3-bet because he's 73-0. He can have a lot of 5x. He can even have 5-3 probably. And I don't think that if he's donking a hand like, who knows what, a hand that's got very little equity, like an 8-7 or something like that, which he could easily be doing a 10-9, king queen, whatever, king jack suited. Who knows? He could be donking a very wide range, and we want to keep all of that in so that we make plenty of money from his stuff that isn't a 5, that maybe just folds if we raise. So we called. Turn is a 4. He donks again, but this time he goes 1/3 pot, and I think this is where I maybe missed a trick. I think when he downsizes the turn, most of the time not most of the time, but I think we can strip him of a lot of 5x. I think maybe we could consider raising here to maybe get some extra value from pocket sixes, pocket sevens, maybe some ace-size that are just a good shot, maybe some weak draws. I don't know, but I think when he bets his size, I think he missed a trick. I remember just calling again, and I think we should raise here, but I didn't. Whatever, move on. And then the river's a 6, and all right, okay. So now we lose to like any 7x, we lose to any deuce x. Still don't beat 5, and he leads out for 140. It's really weak. I did toy with raising, but then I thought, well, what to get value from now? I think it's probably too thin to raise. It's unfortunate that if we got the best time, we only make another €1.40 in this spot, the way I played it. But nevertheless, I just felt it was probably too thin to raise this river. I was a little bit disappointed to be able to just call. But who knows? Maybe the guy's just got a full house and we save money. So we did just call. And he had pocket jack, so we could have made so much more money in that hand and missed so much value. Raise the flop, he's never folding. Raise the turn, he's never folding. I don't know about the river. Just 3-bet your hand pre-mate and give me all of it, thank you. But he didn't. Never mind. This was at the start of a session that got wilder and wilder as the evening went on. On to the next one. Let's get this hand up in my replay so I can. There should be pocket sixes coming here. It is. So we open to sixes. Seat 7 is a very tight regular. I'm very familiar with him. He plays 21-17. He's only got 5% 3-bet, and he's relatively passive post flop. He's not especially active. And the other player in the pot is playing, playing 98/38. So he was over 72 hands. The man was having fun. It might not have been 72 hands at the time. That might be what my holder manager telling me now. But yeah, 98/38, this guy who's donking. So yeah, the man has a lot of hands in his range. Yeah, he likes seeing flops. He likes seeing turns, and he probably likes seeing rivers. So anyway, he's donked out here. We have an open ender on a monotone flop. I think it would be setting money on fire to raise here. Then obviously folding's out of the question to somebody playing 96/38. So I think calls the only thing, nothing much to talk about there. And button calls, so the tight regular calls on the button. We turn a straight, and the 98 VPIP guy again leads out for half pot. We've got straights, so we're going nowhere. The question is, can we raise here? Some value. I mean, this guy's got 96% of hands pre-flop. You know, he's going to have a lot of worse hands here that aren't going to want to fold. Then you got this guy over on the button that, like, fuck knows what he's got. I mean, maybe he's flopped a flush. I imagine he raises the set on the flop when he donks and we just call. I don't know. I found this all. I wasn't sure whether to raise here. This guy behind me worried me a little bit. Like, what's he still doing here? I guess we can just raise and just get him to fold everything. I don't know. I didn't know what to do. I just called again. And then this dude raises pretty small to 540. And I just can't see how he has any bluffs in this spot when this 96/38 guy's in there. Now, he may have had more reads. Now, come to think of it, I think my 72 hands here, this was early in the session. I think he had like less than, I think maybe 15 or so hands on this guy. So maybe he's thin value raising against this guy, thinking I'm capped as fuck. So maybe he's raising a hand that's worse than mine, but ahead of his range. It was all very confusing. This dude folded, and I'm like, oh, fuck's sake. Because this guy really is, he's like really tight, passive. He's tighter than me, he's more passive than me. And I can't imagine how many bluff raises I would have in this spot. So if I was sitting in his seat, what would my range look like here? It would just be flushes, you know? It would literally just be flushes. It's really hard for him to have a 6x because we've got two of the fucking things. And I was just like, really, like, this stinks, man. This is proper whack, dude. It's really shit. I didn't like it. I fucking hate paying these guys off. And this could be an absolutely criminal overfold, but I just folded because I just didn't see how this guy was raising here with a hand worse than ours against a guy who was playing a 96 VP who led into players twice. Maybe he was. Maybe he knew more about this guy at the time. It turns out this guy just liked donking out quite a lot. So maybe he had a better read on this guy than I did. And maybe he thought I was capped as fuck. We just called him twice. So he could, theoretically have been like value raising a worse hand there. So value betting versus this guy, just getting me to pull out some random bit of equity that I might have. I've got like a single heart in my hand or something. I don't know, king, queen with a heart that I'm just trying to like make a flush with. Maybe he raises something worse than a straight here on this turn for value against this guy. I don't know. It was a clusterfuck of a hand, and we lost it, and it really hurt folding. Folding a hand as strong as that really didn't please me, but we did it. On to the next one. We have the Queen 8 suited. I think this might be against the same player as the last hand. Let me just check. It sure is. So this guy's just limped. We've made it 3x, blind versus blind. He's limp min raised us, which is a novel line from the small blind. It's not one you see very often. I don't think it's been solved yet, really. We obviously just call and hope to smash the absolute fuck out of the flop, which we duly do. We flop ourselves top pair and a flush draw against somebody playing 96-37. It's remarkably exciting. He leads out for €1. We have loads of options here. Folding isn't one of them. We can raise small, we can raise big, we can just call. I don't remember what I chose to do. I chose to just call. We turn trips, which doesn't really change very much, I guess. I guess we're ahead of any 6 deuce that he's limp raised pre, which seems unlikely. He now, same as the last time, he's now leading betting half pot again. We call again, and we revert a full house. Now he raises 4. He bets 4, sorry. We're just going to take our time and go all in because he's only got half a bit. It's basically bet half his stack on the river. He absolutely snap called us. I was like, oh well, chop chop, never mind, move on. And he just had his king offsuit, which I thought was a remarkably interesting way to play that particular holding. I mean, he loses his money whatever he does there. He raises pre-I call, and he probably still does the side of thing he did. I just like thought that was a particularly amusing hand, and there's more amusing things to come. Not necessarily from this player, but this was like a. There was a lot of these types of guys around last night, and it made for a lot of fun. Moving on to the next hand, we have two kings. This is much more like it. This is more of a my type of holding, and we have somebody raising from the cutoff who is. Let's have a look at him. Yeah, he looks like a shit reg. 37-24. I don't think he multi-tables. He's either like an aggro fish or like a really shit loose aggressive reg. I'm not sure, but either way, he's dog shit. Button calls. Small blind calls. We squeeze it up to 16 bigs. I think we could go even bigger here, to be honest with you. Again, it was another soft table. We get a call, and we get another call from the button, who was playing. At the time, he was playing 46-28. Oh, that's what I've got on him at the moment. We get a queen 3 flop, and I wasn't in love with it. I thought we had the best hand still a lot of the time. Obviously, having pocket kings blocks a lot of their queen X combinations. But out of position multi-way in a big squeezed pot, I wasn't sure like how often we should be betting here, and I certainly wasn't sure like what size we should be using. And I was thinking about this. I had something going on under the table, and I just autopiloted a little bit, which is not good. I ended up checking, which I don't like. I think we should have found a bet with something. And now we've got more time to think about it. I think I would have liked to bet maybe like €4, something like that. I'm probably just shoving turns if the bricks, if someone's just got like an ace queen or a queen jack suited or whatever, then give my turn to lose a stack. I don't like the way I played this hand. Obviously, the ace comes on the turn, which completely freezes me now. Bit of a clusterfuck of a hand, all told. Checks through again, so I think maybe we have the best hand. Too thin to value bet this river multi-way, I think, so we check again. This guy bets 350. I was all set to just call this and be like, yeah, whatever, mate. Maybe you're bluffing. Probably not, but as played, we just have an easy call with two kings. But then the button called. I'm like, all right, okay, we'll probably just fuck to some random ace X then. I don't think we can call kings here when in the way we played the hand and then the way the hand's played, sorry, and given it's gone bet call on the river, someone just has to have an AC, you would imagine. Maybe a shit queen that's been trapping and now doesn't know what to do in this guy's shoes, but I don't know. But it just felt like our kings were never good, so we just ended up folding. And it turns out that our kings were very good because pocket sixes just flicked it in for 16 bigs pre. Well played, sir. And 8-9 off decided just to come along. And then we let him get all the way to the river and just score a winner. I mean, it's quite a remarkable result for this guy, given that he's got this guy has made two kings fold. And then he's just walked into the end zone and plunked his flag in it. So fair play to him. Not fair play to me. What a load of shit. On to the next one. Ace Queen, we open, we get a call, and we get a min 3 bet. Let's pull up some information about our friends in this hand. So the guy doing the min 3 betting is, well, we have no information on him whatsoever. It's the first time we've seen him play, so we don't know anything about him whatsoever. We get a cold call from a player. Oh, this is confusing. But every player at this table is a whale. So we get a cold call from another whale. I decided to bump it up pretty fucking big. And the guy who's cold call calls again. We flop ourselves an ace. Oh, yes. I remember this hand now. This guy was playing 80/1 with pre-flop aggression stats by street of 50, 60, and 66. So basically, he was incredibly passive pre-flop and then just maniacal post-flop. as is evidenced by this all-in. I mean, we're just delighted to call, of course, which we do. And he has the S6 off, which is thoroughly delightful. I did say these games were pretty wild, didn't I? This was a good example of the sort of things that were happening last night. And we dragged down a particularly pleasant pot that we had no business checking down. Sorry, winning. We had no business winning that much money with Ace Queen versus Ace 6, but we did because that's just it's just how we were rolling at times last night, and it's certainly how the games were rolling. On to the next one. We have Ace 10 off. This is against the same player from the last hand. Look at that. What is this dude doing? Just go all in for 10x pot, mate. Not asked. Don't give a fuck. 10x pot. I'm all in. I mean, we just seen what happened the last hand. We just have it's not fun having to call a 10x pot shove with just top pair 10 kicker. But against this guy, I'll do it all day. So we found the call again. He has the S5. Happy days. Come to daddy. Or don't come to daddy, because he just gets bailed out with a fucking 5. That was frustrating. But never mind. You're delighted to be in games with these players. Sometimes they're going to get there. You need them to get there sometimes to encourage them to keep playing. If we're looking at it from a really cynical, predatory standpoint, you need these guys to sometimes get there and suck out. If they always just realize their equity, and every single time they got the money in, they go broke even quicker, and they would just leave the game. So I try to be happy for these guys when they do suck out. It's not always easy, don't get me wrong. I'm not the fucking Dalai Lama, but I do try to be happy for these guys. I try to enjoy it from their side, because long term, I'm getting the money from this guy. So it's got to accept this is part of the journey to getting his money. Sometimes he's just going to do something stupid, and he's going to win. And we should try our best to be pleased for them when that happens, because A, it's nice for them, so we can just try and enjoy it from their perspective, and B, it's good for our long-term win rate that these guys get some joy and are encouraged to keep playing the game. This is our last hand from this batch. We have 2 10s. We are squeezing it up. So let's get this hand up in my replay so I can tell you more about the players involved. The original Razor is playing 75-75 over a small sample. And the other guy is playing... it's this Everest guy again. It's a guy from the... So it's a 79-1 guy. So this is a 79-1 guy. This guy's playing 75-75 over a small sample. So we just stick the rest in now against the 75-75. We're like, yep, come on, mate, let's run it. He calls. He has the A6 offsuit. I mean, this is the games. These are the games we were in last night. This is a 130 big blind pot. We get it all in against A6 off. Beautiful. And, yeah. This is why at the start of the video, when I urge you guys to find reg tables, this is why. Because you find these guys in your speed poker pools. You find the 64-19s. You find the 79-1s. You find the 75-75s. They're there. They exist. But you get on the table if you're in a pool where there's 30 regs or whatever, and those 30 regs are playing at least 2 tables each, then the pool is like, and then this 75-75 guy's one tabling. You get to play so few hands with him that you're just not likely to get the money. This guy's probably here, he's probably losing at fucking infinite big blinds per 100. He's in these games, he's losing at 50 bigs a 100. So he's got 100 big blinds. He's going to lose that in literally probably 10 hands or so, 15, 20 hands on average. And these guys, they don't reload very often. They'll play for a little bit and they'll fuck off. So when you get these guys at a reg table, you've got like a good chance of felting them. When you've got 2 of them at a table, you've got a good chance of felting at least one of them, if not 2 of them, and having like a fucking enormous win rate. When they're just blended into a speed poker pool that's heavily diluted, where the fish are heavily diluted because they're 1 tabling and regs are 2 and 3 tabling, you just don't get to see them very often. You maybe see them one in 8 tables, and then you don't really get to exploit them very much. Um, because like you see 1 in 8 tables. So it just needs to be the perfect storm for you. You see them 1 in 8, 1 in 9 tables. Then you need them to have a hand and you to have a hand, and then you need to actually have the best hand. It's too much of a perfect storm required. Whereas when you're playing at regular tables, you can massively adjust your ranges. If you look at the table and they're not adjusting, like the other regs at the table aren't really adjusting to this play, which is often the case, and you give yourself such a good chance of being the person to stack them. There's an old saying like that. These players, they have an egg timer over their head. That sand is running out, and it's running out fast. And you want that sand to run into your egg timer. You want to be the guy who gets the money. And you just have a way better chance once you find some of these like incredibly recreational players. Once you find them, you give yourself a way better chance of getting all the money if they can't escape you, um, because they're just the same table as you. So yeah, this is a really good. This video and the next video is all about encouraging many of you guys as many guys as possible to dump the speed poker and just get on the regular tables. Be that if you're in the UK, be that Sky, be that game selecting on Poker Stars. That can be very good. I've worked with some people down the years who have game selected Poker Stars, done okay. Game selected Triple Eight, done okay. I game select iPoker, I do okay. Um, Games like GG even, you can do okay. Just get the regular tables, get on tables with at least one or two players who are like significant losing players. So at least your rake bill's covered by their losses. When you're playing speed poker, most tables you're dealt into, your rake bill isn't covered by the loss rates of the losing players at the table. It almost always is when you game select, and that's really really important in a high rake environment. It's really important that you can get into games where your rake bill where you play at the micro six is probably somewhere between 9 and 12 big blinds 100. It's a really high bar to get over. So you've got to be winning at between 9 and 12 big blinds 100 just to be like break even in the games, because the rake's taken from you from that. So when you're winning at say 2.5 bigs, really you're winning at 15 bigs or 14 bigs or 13 bigs, but the rake's taking too much. So you need to be in games where pre-rake you're winning at 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, big blind 100. And that's just not the environment in speed poker. So if you take anything from this video, um, please let it be, unless you're a crusher. And if you're a crusher, you're not watching this shit anyway. If you're a recreational player who isn't making money playing speed poker, please, please, please consider whichever site you play on to just giving game selecting and reg tables to go. Once you get that, like, almost unbearable desire for speed poker out of your system and you start playing reg tables, you'll look back and think, fucking hell, why haven't I been doing this for years? Speed poker has its place. For me, it's a place I go when I want to sharpen my tools. But if you want to make money, then it's a place you should avoid like the fucking plague. So that's going to be it for this video. We'll be back with more tomorrow. There's another 7 hands from this session to look at, and they're probably going to be all quite similar to this, with a very similar plea to you all to avoid speed poker. But yeah, we're going to leave it there for now. Take care, everybody. Have a great day. Fuck the Tories, and bye bye for now.